This is a yidaki from northern Queensland. A didgeridoo is a white man's word for this wind instrument. I haven't played it for a while, but yeah, this is instrumental to me because Byron Bay is what I want to talk about today, and what I learnt in Byron Bay, how I applied my lessons that I learned in Byron Bay in the Byron Bay region to my writing processes. In 1997, I was travelling on the east coast of Australia with my best friends at the time, in Annalise, the Crimson Lock, which was a Holden station wagon, and there was 5 of us travelling together, 6 of us actually, 6 of us, yeah, travelling together in Annalise, down the east coast of Australia, and I got out of the car in Byron Bay and decided to stay there for 8 weeks. This is in late 1997, and when I got down there, I seduced a beautiful English rose called Kirsten. And one night, my friend Erin, who I'd met in Port Douglas, came down to Byron Bay, and I saw him on the street, and we went up to the Lighthouse. When we were up there at the Lighthouse, there was a storm coming in from the northeast, and I said to Erin, wouldn't it be amazing right now to take some acid and stay up here for the storm? To which he said to me, I've got some in the car. And I said, let's fucking do it. So we grabbed the acid, I grabbed Kirsten, told her what was going on, we grabbed our duvets, our sleeping bags, everything we'd need for the night up there. Went up to the Lighthouse in this howling wind. We sat on a seat thinking like, this isn't going to work. I've already dropped the acid, me and Aaron have dropped the acid already, so we're like, well man, what do we do? I looked down, and there was a dip in the earth beneath the seat. And I just intuitively dropped down into that dip, and there was complete silence. No wind, nothing. It was passing straight over the top of the little dip in the ground. That is where we slept the night. We lay in that dip, and eventually we went to sleep, which wasn't long. It was a few hours of being in there in the little dip, and nightfall had happened. It come on, and we were sleeping. I passed out. I woke up tripping with the clouds and the stars like a river flying overhead, and I heard a man's voice say, "You must go to Ram's place." I thought it was Erin, but Erin was asleep, and Kirsten didn't have a man's voice. So I was like, okay, I won't mention it till the morning. Next morning, we went to the Tea Tree Lakes, super early, like 5:30 in the morning, north of Byron Bay. Went for a swim in the lakes, cleansed our auras, cleansed our etheric, washed ourselves. And then went back into the city again, or back into the township again, I should say, back into Byron Bay Township. And I got to a payphone and said, hey guys, I'm going to give this cat Ram a call, right? And they're like, who's Ram? I said, we need to go and stay with him for a few days. That's okay. Now in Port Douglas, I got a little red book, and I collected all my friends that I'd met in Port Douglas. I put all their names and addresses and their email addresses and their phone numbers in that red book. So if I was traveling around the world, if I was in a certain part of the world, and I could find them, give them a call, and if they were comfortable with me seeing me, we could catch up. I got the book out. I found Ram's number. I gave him a call at 5:45 in the morning on a payphone in Byron Bay. I said to him, hey look, is it cool if me and my friends come up to your house for a couple of days? And he's like, hang on a minute, let me ask my mother. And he asked her, and she said, yeah, no problem at all. So I passed the phone to my friend Erin from Port Douglas, who'd come down, who was driving and knew the area better than I did. He got directions, drew a map, and then I got in the back of his panel van, his Ford panel van, and we were gone up to the house. When we arrived there, I mean, the story you get out there, the story of getting to the house in the first place is another story which I'll leave for another day. But it was, to say mind-blowing was probably putting it into a very small confinement, because it was more than mind-blowing. We went to a house inside the caldera of Wollumben, right? Mount Warning, which is the main spire of the lava in the middle of that caldera, has got to the southwest a number of smaller spires of lava that cooled down, and Ram's mother's place was on top of one of those in the caldera, in the crater of this former gigantic volcano. So we walked into the house, and I thought to myself, who told me to come to Ram's place? I walked in, and there were photographs and portraits all around me in this hexagonal shaped house, open plan, 2 stories, of Sai Baba. Now, I have been a devotee of Sai Baba for about 2 years. And I was like, oh my God, Baba has brought me here for a reason. That night, Kirsten and I did what most couples do when we've just been, what they do, you know, what couples do. And the next morning, Ram's mother, who was a psychologist and a sex therapist, said to me, can I have a word to you outside? The outside was a portico covered in grapes next to the tiered garden going down, Balinese style tiered garden going down to the jungle. And there was a huge banquet table where this Italian guy wearing all white, who had long white hair and had a leopard skin tie around his head with the feathers on the side, who looked more Native American than he was Italian, was sitting there rolling these huge joints. He passed me one and said, smoke this. So I put it in my mouth, lit it up, smoked the whole thing because I didn't want any themselves. It completely blew me out. And then she said to me, do you know what you're doing? I didn't know what she meant. I had no idea. And she said to me once again, do you know what you're doing? And I said, I don't understand, I don't follow you. She said, do you know what you're doing when it comes to sex? I was like, oh, come on. This is my first rodeo. I'm 25, you know? Come on. Jesus. And she's like, no, you're clueless. You're just still a boy. Now listen very carefully to what she said to me. And I am so grateful for this experience. This was a life changer for me. And now, even more so now that my understanding has gone beyond my intellect into my knowing. She said to me, a woman's sacred space is her womb. She carries a child in there. It grows inside her body. This is a sacred site in her body. This is where all her power is. Her mystical power, her etheric power, her worldly power is all there in her womb. And my jaw literally dropped. And the penny sank right away. And I knew what she was saying. Without devotion, without love, without reverence and passion, it's a violation of that sacred space, she told me. Much to Kirsten's horror. Because I said to Kirsten, I'm not sure if I love you. And she's like, what? I said, I understand this. I understand this. I adore you, but I'm not sure if I can act in the way I used to anymore. I've just had this epiphany. It's blowing my mind completely. To which Kirsten was like, okay, take your time with this. Let it assimilate with you. I hear what she said. And even though I might not agree with it, at this time, I hear it, I respect it. So I integrated from that experience, and from then on became the attentive, devoted, passionate, and reverent lover that I have been up until this moment, right now. In my books, especially the Pablo Wairua books, the short story books there, I explore the nature of that power and the connection and the devotion of not only men and women in a heterosexual sense, but also in a gay sense as well, the deep reverence and power and love and passion that emanates from the woman's sacred space. Woman to me now, in my short stories especially, as well as my novels with Armand Sueño. That energy, that power, that reverence, that passion, I explore it in so many ways. Now, my greatest act of devotion as Ihor Grace, writing as Ihor Grace in poetry, was A Flickering Light Called Fate for Inga Lan and A Dance Called Dwarka for Holly Hamilton. These two books is where my heart, my understanding, my complete being unifies to share that knowledge and devotion and reverence in a way that goes beyond sexuality, goes into the realms of devotion beyond physicality and into divine source power, and molds it into poetry. These are my greatest gifts. This is my sexuality channeled in a way that I've never channeled it before. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you like the story. Mā te wā. I'll see you soon.